Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And well, the gamers holiday, it's over. It's come and gone. We got lots of showcases last few weeks. It's been a lot of fun. Let me tell you, it's been a lot of fun. But now it's time to move on. Or, hang on. Is it really over just yet? According to some new rumors floating around, it might not be after all, and if true, you Nintendo fans out there might have something to look forward to as early as this week. So we will talk about that today, as well as Xbox responding to the virtual reality market. Every once in a while, it seems like this topic gets brought up to Microsoft, and they did give a clear response today, though the question is Xbox right or wrong? Well, we will discuss all of that a little later on today. As always, though, guys, do hit those buttons below, like, subscribe, and ring that bell. It does help the channel a ton. But with that said, let's just go and get right into things, starting off with Final Fantasy 16. This game will be out in just a few short days for most people. I know I'm certainly looking forward to it myself, but it's not necessarily a rare modern release after all. Now, what I mean by that is that one of the big talking points that Square Enix has really tried to sell to fans is that Final Fantasy 16 will be fully ready day one and that they're confident in the final release, meaning that no day one patch will be needed. So about that, it appears they didn't deliver on that promise after all, because they just revealed, as you might have guessed, a day one patch will indeed be a thing. Now, they're trying to lessen the blow here by saying that the patch isn't necessarily mandatory, which, okay, so I guess technically that's true. Then again, that might be the case with various other day one patches across the industry. But in this specific case, it's a 300 megabyte download that fixes a number of issues, including minor text errors, performance optimization, and then a bug that could keep you from progressing in the game. While yes, that might be a rare occurrence, it does sound significant enough that you'll probably, want to go ahead and play it on the safe side of things and just download the update. Even more so, Square Enix also confirmed that they're looking to push further updates out in the future to fix some of those performance issues that so many have talked about in the last week or so. It does sound like there will be some issues in the main game as well. None of this really is all that surprising, though, for a new release. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but the reason that this is so noteworthy is because, well, Square Enix, they tried to hammer it home that none of this would be the case, that they wouldn't have a day one patch. I don't know, it is what it is, I guess, but there you go. Final Fantasy 16 will indeed get a day one patch and further updates in the future. Next up here, though, the Callisto Protocol is getting some new story DLC later this month titled The Final Transmission. Now, as the name implies, this is meant to be the final chapter of the game, which should give the story a little bit more finality to it, which I think is important for this game specifically and for those that enjoyed it, because sadly, Callisto Protocol didn't exactly light up the charts. There were a lot of internal expectations for this game to perform well. Krafton, its publisher, was originally looking to sell 5 million copies by April, but earlier in the year, they revealed that it was selling well below those expectations, and they have since projected it to sell 2 million. So unfortunately, that's significantly underachieving, and I'd say with that, there's really no guarantee for the Callisto Protocol's future and a sequel if you wanted one. So I think at the very least here, it's nice to see some DLC that hopefully gives fans a little bit more resolution to its story. If you are interested, though, the Final Transmission will be out for PlayStation on June 27th, and then 2 days later, interestingly enough, it'll be available for Xbox and PC players. Yeah, that timed DLC, I guess, but nothing really too significant here. Okay, so let's just go and move on to the big story of the day, though, because we need to talk about Nintendo. The word on the street right now is that a possible Nintendo Direct will take place this week. The speculation that this will happen in the next few days has just kind of exploded online. So, I mean, there's a good chance that you've probably already seen some of the rumors about this, but what's going on here, and more importantly, why does everybody seem to believe that this is going to happen now when just 2 short weeks ago, most people seem to think that a June Direct wasn't going to happen at all? Well, this seems to have all started off with Nate the Hate and him seemingly indicating a direct will take place between June 20th and June 23rd. You can kind of see here that he's playing around by saying his podcast has a 6.20% chance to a 6.23% chance of happening, and a lot of people have taken that as a clear-cut hint that a Nintendo Direct is going to happen this week between 6/20 and 6/23. Now, maybe he's just trolling here, we'll see, but that's not really the end of this story. That's not exactly why we're talking about it today. There's actually more here because he's not the only insider latching on to this week being the week for a Nintendo Direct. There's several other leaks making waves right now as well, such as a Brazilian Nintendo website by the name of Universo Nintendo, which reportedly has a good track record. And they too are pointing to this week. According to them, they've spoken to some of their anonymous and reliable sources, which claims that there will be a Direct this week that includes first-party titles. Now that right there, that's where things start to get really interesting because this indicates this won't be a simple partner Direct. Now at the same time, as they pointed out, this doesn't necessarily mean that it will be a big general Direct either. Do kind of keep that in mind. They themselves don't know, but considering first-party was specifically mentioned to them by their sources, whether it's a mini or general Direct, this is still a place that Nintendo could reveal games like Pikmin 4 or even some currently unannounced games. That's the one that you all want to know about. But yes, they could announce currently unannounced games that's also being floated around. I mean, we've been hearing rumors all year long that Nintendo is going to make a big GameCube push this year. Both F-Zero GX and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door has made the rounds. And with the information that we have available to us right now, both of those could technically be possible announcements here if they actually are true. Now, whether those are true or not, that still remains to be seen. But I personally hope they are because I do like both of these games, especially Paper Mario. I am a big fan of this series, and I mean the fact that it's been nearly 20 years. 20 years. Isn't that unbelievable? 20 years since we've gotten a classic style Paper Mario game. That is just crazy to me. So I do think that a remake would make some sense here. This is a game that's aged very well thanks to its art style, and it could help the series kind of return to form. Maybe show Nintendo why they should make more games like this instead of the continuous, underwhelming experimentations that they keep giving us with the Paper Mario franchise. No more Origami King, please. Let's go back to the classic style. Now, as for F-Zero GX, though, I feel similar about this game as well. A remaster is not only a chance to experience a great game like this once again with, most importantly, online play, but it's also an opportunity to kind of revive the series. People have been wanting a new F-Zero title for years and years, and maybe an F-Zero GX remaster could both kind of scratch the itch here and maybe get the ball rolling for a sequel if it does well enough. So I do hope that both of these are in fact real, and I think that they would also be good games to kind of fit into what I think is a possible transition year into the Switch successor. These games might not necessarily be massive system sellers. I don't think that they're going to go on and sell tens of millions of copies in the same vein as something like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. But what I think these games can achieve is that they could be a nice stopgap from this generation to their next generation, while they might have a little bit of a slower period in first-party output. I mean, I know I would buy these games, and I think a lot of fans out there would as well. Interestingly enough, though, two more games have kind of entered the fold here. We're starting to hear rumors about a new 2D Mario game. This is reportedly coming from the same person who leaked Sonic Superstars and Everybody Want to Switch accurately. I mean, how many people was actually predicting these games? Probably not too many, but this person supposedly did, and that's why here we are once again with people kind of latching onto this rumor, because this time they're claiming a new 2D Mario game is coming as well as a remake of a Super Nintendo classic. Now, we have no idea what this classic is, but a new 2D Mario game, that would be rather interesting, I'd say. We really haven't gotten a brand new mainline 2D Mario game since 2012 with the Wii U, unless you consider Mario Maker 2. That was 2019, I want to say. Now, I mean, they re-released New Super Mario Bros. U on the Switch with the deluxe version, but, I mean, it's been a long time coming since they've made a new mainline 2D game, and I'd be kind of curious to see their take on a franchise like this in 2023. See if they have anything creative in mind and what kind of power-ups would they bring to Mario next. Now, this would also be a great way for them to kind of capitalize on that recent movie, which has just kind of exploded onto the scene. It has done very, very well for itself. Now, one other rumor here, though, that's going around, and this time it's in regard to a third-party title being Persona 3 Reload. Now, we talked about this last week, but just because it wasn't announced for Nintendo alongside other platforms, as I said before, there's really no reason to freak out about this just yet. Last year, something very similar happened where Atlus and Nintendo, they did a staggered announcement for Persona 5 Royal. And now here we are yet again with indications that they could be doing something similar with Persona 3 Reload. It's been spotted now that PlayAsia, a very reputable website that imports games across the world, I've purchased products from them multiple times, I can vouch for them, and fans spotted that a Persona 3 Switch version was indeed listed on their website. Now, you can kind of take that as you will. There's no guarantee that this was accurate. There has been some back and forth on whether or not this was just an error, but just like those Nintendo Direct rumors, there's more to this story. There was also an unlisted YouTube video found for Persona 3 Reload on Atlus's channel titled Persona 3 Reload Special Trailer. This trailer is supposedly set to air soon, and well, lo and behold, in the description, it listed the Nintendo Switch as one of the platforms that it's coming to. Now, they've since updated that description to no longer include the Nintendo Switch, so maybe it was just a simple error, but it is things like these that has fans speculating right now, and this is all happening at the same time as those Nintendo Direct rumors. Now, is this all just some simple coincidence, or is there something actually happening here? Well, let me know what you all think about all of this. Are you all buying into the rumors that a Direct is actually happening this week? And if so, do you believe any of these claims? Will Persona 3 get a Nintendo Switch announcement? Is there actually a 2D Mario game, or is that person full of it? And what about those GameCube remasters that we've heard about all year long? Do they exist or not? Let me know what you all think about this in the comments below, but one way or the other, we might not have to wait too long to find out, because if true, a Direct announcement could be rather imminent. Alright, so speaking of speculation and rumors though, Xbox, they actually responded to a question that fans have often wondered about themselves: the chances of Xbox entering the virtual reality market. PlayStation, of course, they do it, so why not Xbox as well? Well, in an interview with Hollywood Reporter, Xbox's Matt Booty said this: I think for us, it's just a bit of wait until there's an audience there. We're very fortunate that we have got these big IPs that have turned into ongoing franchises with big communities. We have 10 games that have achieved over 10 million players live to date, which is a pretty big accomplishment. But that's the kind of scale that we need to see success for the game, and it's not quite there yet with AR, VR. Now, this is not the first time that they've said something like this. Phil Spencer has also alluded to this several times in the past, but basically what they're saying here is that the reason that they don't have a VR headset, and the reason that you shouldn't expect one from them anytime soon, is because the VR and AR market is still too small for them to invest in. Now, there's always going to be some pushback on this topic, but let's just go and disregard all of the chatter for a moment, because let's actually sit down and think about this. Is Matt Booty correct? Is the VR market still too small for Xbox? And as a VR owner myself, I mean, I have 3 VR headsets. I have the Oculus Rift S, I have the Oculus Quest 2, and the PlayStation VR headset, and even I agree with him here. Now, the reason I say that is because all you have to do is look at the PlayStation. The PlayStation VR 2 sold 600,000 units in its first 6 weeks, which, to be fair, I mean, that is outpacing the original PlayStation VR, but that's still only 1.57% of the total PlayStation 5 user base. Is that really the growth that we were hoping for in the VR space after 7 years? The original PlayStation VR released back in 2016, and the PlayStation VR 2, if anything, is proving once again that it is still a super niche market. And that's coming from the market leader, PlayStation. Xbox would likely sell even less than that unless, they made a standalone device similar to this Quest 2. That would probably, in my opinion, be the better direction to take. But even then, something else to kind of keep in mind here is that VR development would also take away from their internal first-party studios, as they would need to dedicate sources to VR development. Something that I can't imagine that current Xbox fans would necessarily be thrilled about. I mean, Xbox is still trying to prove their first-party output as a standard developer, let alone a VR developer. So just in my own opinion, even though VR is a cool technology, something that I myself have gotten a lot of enjoyment out of, it's still niche. And I don't think that that's going to change anytime in the near future. It's still too expensive. The AAA games aren't necessarily there in abundance yet. And for a lot of people, it's also cumbersome. So it's still a technology that needs to improve before hitting that mass appeal. And that's why I think Xbox is correct in waiting until those things are improved. Now, you can also make the argument that waiting is also a way of missing out on an opportunity, but I don't know. I just don't see VR necessarily exploding in the next few years. And if it does, I'm going to go ahead and hedge my bet on something like Oculus as opposed to one of the console manufacturers. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, do you think Sony should put day one first-party games into PlayStation Plus Premium? And wow, okay, so apparently a lot of you think that they should, as 68% said yes. Then 9% said yes, but only for a select smaller budget games. And then 15% of you said no. Now, I think from a fan's perspective, the results here does make a lot of sense. I'm sure a lot of people would love these first-party games at a low monthly cost, especially with the high quality that Sony tends to offer. But at the same time, from Sony's perspective, their games sell extremely well. They have a lot of games that can easily push 10 to 20 million units, if not even more than that, at that $70 price tag. So for them, their strategy is already working as is. So, I mean, I guess it really just kind of depends on what point of view that you take here, the mindset of consumers, which, again, would love something like this, or the business mindset, which is the way Sony is going to look at it. With that, though, realistically, I don't really imagine Sony will offer first-party games day one anytime soon. I do think that there's a debate that you can make for some of their smaller budget games having an opportunity in PlayStation Plus Premium. I think that they should consider that. But for the big blockbusters, I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. Clearly, though, a lot of you all would like to see otherwise. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.